Since this is the last thing in this interseasonal, I wanted to cover something else I liked to play yet people don't know about, and after thinking on it for a bit I thought, you know what, why not talk about one of my most favorite Warcraft maps? Fourth War. Yes, in case if you still haven't realized it by now, welcome to my channel, where I mostly ramble about animes and don't really play games all that often. How nice of you to visit me. I guess I have to start with some introductions, but what can I even say about Warcraft 3? It's one of the most popular RTS in the world, it's one of the genre-defying RTSs, it's the thing that first Dota ran on, it's the thing that is set in the same universe that Energy Vampire World of Warcraft is set in, and for many a post-USSR folk, this and Counter-Strike were probably the first games they ever played mods for. You'd have to be either very young or really dense to not ever hear about at least one of those things, which is a testament to both Blizzard's quality and their hypnotic powers. But why a map of all things? Well, this requires a bit of a layman explanation. One of the biggest reasons why Warcraft 3, or any other game for that matter, continues to be played for decades is the ease with which it can be modded, and Warcraft 3 has quite a flexible map editor with just another script syntax able to do a lot of peculiar stuff as long as you knew how to use it, which is why the modding community for the game grew exponentially, diverging into its own genres and eventually even into their own games. You had tower defenses for people wanting to roleplay as North Korea, you had Aeons of Strife for people who wanted to play RTSs but couldn't be bothered to actually learn how to play them. You had RPGs for people who couldn't afford whatever Elder Scrolls or Final Fantasy was back in the day, and ORPGs for when you ran out of money for your WoW subscription. You even had maps roughly analogous to YouTube poop and even movies made entirely on the engine. But the map I want to talk about is in a peculiar genre called melee, which were essentially custom RTS maps with new stuff added in them. Fourth War is a map made by a Ukrainian and Russian language, because of course it was made before 2014, set in an alternate Azeroth, roughly based on some books from the Warcraft universe, though with how bloated their catalog become over the years, these books could either be non-canon or fanfictions. What remained of Illidan's faction after events of Warcraft 3 bunkered down on Ashenvale instead of running away. The Scourge is waging a full-on frontal assault in every direction, but instead of brooding in his tower, Malygos decided to actually use his authority and unite all races of Northrend into a force that could stop the Scourge once and for all. The Alliance and the Horde were reforged into new technologically advanced factions, and what remains of the Burning Crusade is planning to make a desperate final stand. The map has 10 factions, with gameplay ranging from not that different to regular vanilla to quite a bit different to regular vanilla, yet even in the most radical of factions, the main gameplay is still recognizably Warcraft 3. You gather golden wood, you build buildings, you have to do everything fast or else even the easiest AI will take your lunch money and laugh at your pitiable managing skills. But each faction has something different. You choose the new alliance and you suddenly have to choose a baseline of humans, dwarves or night elves, and then invite another race as a support troop, thus having 9 possible combinations to choose from. You choose Draenei and you can choose between powerful anti-undead legions of bravery that require a third resource to function, or the broken Draenei who like to be stealthy. And that's the best part of it. To this day I haven't seen a melee map of such scale, the one that does things differently enough to be worth playing, but not so different that you're wondering why even bother making the same map and not a mod or even its own game. There is a bit of a modder bloat. The last version of the map shows that the person who made it was slowly getting too big for jazz, and that's probably why he stopped developing it ultimately. I would recommend it, but honestly speaking, I'm not sure how. His site is either dead or long since abandoned to spam bots. It's Russian only, which means that without a Russian language patch you won't have any descriptions, and if you'll have them you won't understand them if you don't know Russian. But if none of those are a problem and you'll be able to download it, feel free to enjoy it. God knows it's better than what Blizzard's currently doing with Warcraft. And speaking of that, with current news about Blizzard and the fact that I probably won't have the time to speak on this topic otherwise, I might as well comment on what I think about all of this. In recent years, gaming has become quite a different beast from what I remember it to be. Gamers are still the beating boy of every political, social and moral busybody out there, but they themselves have gotten significantly more aggressive and defensive of their hobby, partially because eventually even the most broken animal will run out of patience, partially because gaming itself has become quite a lucrative industry, kinda like that nerdy boy you bullied at school turned multi-billionaire. But now we are in a situation every other industry is in. Customers are getting piddled on by big corporations corporations, while the big corporations themselves are so out of touch with what their fans actually want, they think they're doing them a favor, and not like I can blame them for it. A typical Sony or Activision isn't just one office in rural America, it's a big bloated thing with multiple offices all over the world, each governed by locals with agendas allowed by the place they're in, which is why American Blizzard has no problem with advertising LGBT stuff in their games, while Chinese Blizzard vows to defend Chinese sovereignty. Outside of politics, ex-USSR Battle.net is governed from an office based in Russia, so riddle me this, dear listener. If a Ukrainian gamer will shout or wear something that doesn't support Russian illegal occupation of Crimea on a local Blizzard-sponsored event, do you think he won't get the same treatment as that Hong Konger when Russia is known to nationalize anything even remotely supporting that sort of stuff? But then again, I've stopped caring what Blizzard or any other major company's been doing a long time ago. They're not even beating a dead horse at this point. The horse has been grinded into bone dust somewhere in 2008, and now they're beating a half-dead donkey since it's cheaper and donkeys are usually more sturdier than horses. Blizzards, Valves, and other Paradox Gamings of this world haven't done anything that could interest me in a while, and what they have done is usually either a blander version of a much more tastier previous meal or about as stacked as a Disneyland built on a Nazi concentration camp. To me, all major Western franchises are dead, and if they'll ever convince me otherwise, I will make a face reveal video, convert to Buddhism, and fuck a dead pig.
The coconut nut is a giant nut. If you eat too much, you get very fat. Now, the coconut nut is a big, big nut, but this delicious nut is not a nut.